Hi guys, welcome to this upload for you guys here on Wrestling Fan Open My Night. Thank you ever so much for you guys. Keep tuning in every time when I do any content for you guys right here on this very platform. So if you're new around here, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon so you be notified anytime when I do any content for your viewing pleasure. Now I just want to say to every one of you guys is that I want to say this, considering we're in May, the first week of May. 2026. I want to say this is a great opportunity for wrestling fans to take on board what AEW is doing. I know a lot of people don't like it. It's down to your preference. I can't stress you enough how much AEW has literally given me so much joy of being a professional wrestling fan. It's the only company I would actually say, even if I've missed a pay per view, I know I missed the last two pay per views live, but I went back and watched them a day or two later when I literally had a bit of free time. I'd never get to do that when I felt like that when I was watching the WWE. I felt okay, lackluster, ad mania or something like that. I have not, like as I've stressed in many of my videos, I've not watched WWE properly or at all, minus the clips what I've seen through TikTok, YouTube, etc. like that, since SummerSlam last year. And I tell you what, I'm glad I gave that company up fully because it's not delivering what I actually want to see as professional wrestling as a fan. Because end of the day, I want to say this, and I'll be honest with you: being up a gingerbread man on SmackDown, really, is that the best you can come up with? You know, but oh, it's entertainment. Oh, it's aimed at families. But the prices don't add up to aim at families. I can understand if it was a cheaper product, but it's not. But I want to say this, right? All jokes aside, other than watching what I've seen on my feed, I thought it was an AI video when I first ever saw it. I didn't want to fucking sit here talk about it. I've already gave you some WWE content this past week, but I want to say this: when I look at the way AEW has been doing certain things towards the wrestling world, I want to actually say it's been delivering absolutely phenomenal within the last 3 years. They're back on form, and that's me being honest to you guys at home. And I can't stress you enough, they just get it damn right. Because end of the day, they've made Darby Allin champion where I actually talked about it, and I'm not hindering Darby Allin being like a weak link for the shock value of him being champion. I just find it amazing how much he is a champion, and he's literally defending that title left, right, and centre, but you don't know who is next. But other than obviously what you've seen last night on Dynamite, spoiler alert, when it comes to Collision, Pac's challenging him. Next Wednesday, you got Okada challenging him. Two amazing people. This proves how wide open it is. And then when you look at the bigger spectrum of it and the bigger positives of it, you're going into double or nothing by looks for MJF title versus hair. Now that's an interesting concept to actually going into a pay per view. Yes, I can say pay per view because it's a company that uses the terminology pay per view. And to say they're the two of the originals that started off on the very first Dynamite, made themselves a household name through the years. The AEW originals, yes, I know MJF was at other companies. Yes, I know the likes of Darby Allin has been at other companies, but I mean like the originals and the four pillars they literally had when they first started the focus point towards these wrestlers. The likes of MJF, the likes of Darby Allin, and they've not followed suit. They've literally followed suit going forward with these two, hoping these will be making people want to tune into the likes of Double or Nothing 2026. I'm looking forward to watching it. I'm hoping I get to see it live. If not, I'll go back and watch it when I've got free time. And I feel I feel amazed that they want to do something that risky, but is to me, do I feel like MJF is going to have that entity? Is he going to get the title back at Double or Nothing? I don't know. You know, it, is it because MJF's got a film role? He's got to lose his hair for his film role that he's doing. I just, if this is pans out how this is going to be, it's going to be a clinic of a match. You know, people literally did the shock value on that WrestleMania week you want to dub it as, but you've literally got to understand. I've been waiting for this sort of rematch, as you might want to say. Not very often you see AEW do rematch clauses, but it seems like it's going that way, and you've got the contract signing next week, which is going to be interesting because MJF's got to decide is he going to put his hair on the line versus the title to say he offered him $1 million, and he turned that down, and he's like used to living be under a bridge and a homeless and living in his car, you know. Darby Allin's that character that he's got that mystique about him, but he's got that vulnerability side to him that never forgets his roots. That gives a massive story to what Darby Allin's all about as a world champion. And I'm glad to witness that week by week. He's had some amazing matches. Look at the facing Kevin Hart. Not Kevin Hart, where am I going? You know, Kevin Knight, sorry, I do apologise. He's not facing Kevin Hart. You got more chance of Dwayne Rock Johnson versus Kevin Hart. I do apologise. But you got the likes of that. He had an amazing match with Brody King. You got to understand the entity and the aura that Darby Allin is, that larger than life character. Even though he's a small frame, he's proven people wrong. It's I want to say this: a lot of companies back in the day they used to believe in those bigger guys being their world champion. You know, I'm not being funny. Eddie Guerrero was a small champion. Rey Mysterio was a small champion. Shawn Michaels was a small champion. They were breaking the molds in wrestling of small guys. And why is people not actually giving the likes of Darby Allin that entity, that surprise of him being that champion and going forward? You look at the likes of what you got the likes of Jeff Hardy back in the day, you know. But at least one thing, they're making Darby look a believable champion, and I'm glad that I'm witnessing it every single week. Then you look at the likes of Tekla. She's entertaining on the mic. I think she's very captivating going forward to see what she actually has to do. I'm really intrigued about her reign as AEW's Women's Championship. She can literally do what she does is amazing asset for AEW. I'm glad AEW picked her up, because I heard so much about her from obviously the Gojin Temple, aka Light Skin Guy Ocean, over on TikTok. A good friend of mine I know is going through a lot of shit at the moment because his mum's passed away. God rest her soul. He went out of the way to look out for my mate Mark, and lo and behold, the same week that he passed away, she passed away. And anyway, I'm going off topic, but I've learnt so much from that guy by just watching his content when he said about Tekla coming to AEW, how excited, and you'd be surprised how good she is. I'm really impressed. I want to meet her one day. I was that close, obviously, the after party when I went to Sweet Chin Disco, All In. I'm hoping to do something like that again if I've got any fucking energy to do it. That's just me being honest, because at the end of the day, we're doing London 3 days. So, what I'm saying to you guys is, Tekla's amazing. You got the likes of Willow Nightingale, the current TBS Women's Championship, doing open challenges. Who's going to be the next one in the line to take her on? I'm hoping at some point it leads to her versus Harley Cameron, because then you can literally say, okay, Harley Cameron versus Willow Nightingale. And what a way to pass the torch to Harley, because her former tag team partner. That's an amazing feat to actually have. And that's how you use a mid card title in a wrestling company. Not use it as and when you feel like it's necessary. Then again, okay, I'll admit it, Becky Lynch is the current IC women's um, champion. But okay, fair enough, you know how to use that. But where's the women's US title in WWE? Just saying, just saying. I'm not seeing that in any clips that I've come across. So yeah, you've literally got. Is it teasing towards the likes of Jamie Hayter versus Tekla again? I'm looking forward to that. I know, because of the history, the beef they've actually had since Tekla has actually came in the company. You know, this is just amazing feat to actually have. You know, and I feel like those three titles have been used actually amazingly. You know, even though, yeah, you've got the tag titles focused on the likes of FTR versus Christian and Copeland. You got that focus going towards that at some point in the near distant future. You know, and then you look, you got that. I can't remember the title name of it, the one that Okada's got. You know, because I don't see him that often defend it as he should do. You know, and that's just me being honest. Then you got the likes of, like I was saying about Kevin Knight. He's got the TBS Championship. He's just doing it so superbly. He's literally faced on the likes of Darby Allin, a world champion. Yeah, fair enough. But throwing him in the mix in the world title picture is a very interesting thing. I'm waiting for Mike Bailey to have that opportunity at some point in the near distant future. But I'm literally just gobsmacked what they're leaving so much wide open to do. And the vignettes between the Death Riders and Will Ospreay, when he's hinted that he's never joining the Death Riders, but it probably will do, because I've already done a whole video on that sort of idea and concept towards of a storyline for the likes of Will Ospreay going forward in the company in 2026. Because end of the day, you, you never know what's going to happen with AEW, and that's why I feel like when I look at the world title matches they've actually had, like I'm going back onto this topic, that I didn't think I would actually see, and this is making their title wanted in their company. You know, not just willy nilly sort of style, like doing back and forth, back and forth. I can understand it. I tell you one thing, you never know what's going to happen week by week. Yeah, fair enough. You actually get the match cards that are being put on social media and everything like that. But, but other than those match cards, you don't know which way they're going to go with the story. And I find it amazing to see that in 2026. I've seen it in 2025, 2024, the likes of what AEW has actually been given us as fans. I'll admit it. I've admitted in many of my videos, I've never said that AEW's been amazing all the time. I feel like this is just a good run they're actually on at the moment. They've got the consistency right, they've got the relevancy right, they've got everything right down to a T going forward. Obviously, what's going off for that company, and I'm really excited to witness it. And I can't thank Tony Khan, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and everything. You know, and I've stated this in a video. I know it's a big thing to state, but I don't think that AEW would have been as big if Cody Rhodes was still in that company. I feel like he was hurting the company, because all he was focused on back is probably get WWE's attention to bring him back into the fold of WWE. And that's me being honest. Tell me your thoughts. You know, there's so much going off in AEW. It's just amazing. And obviously, with the rumors of Malachi Black going to be back in AEW, that's going to be an interesting entity if he does sign back for that company. And then you look at the likes of Andrade. He's been phenomenal since, I feel like it's one of his best runs of his career. And that's me being honest, being in AEW, because he suits the mold what AEW have given off to the wrestling fans. And my God, we are so spoiled. We are so spoiled. And I'm so grateful. They just get it right. You know, the amount of talent that we see and what they're actually giving off. But I'll tell you one thing, I'm really looking forward to Double or Nothing. That card's looking really stacked going forward. You know, even though, yeah, you've got possibly the main event, like I've already talked about, and it's going to be an interesting thing going forward. But I just want to say this, if Malachi Black is coming back to AEW, I want to say this to anyone that is watching this. If they're going to do House of Black, do not put Julia Hart in there. If you can do that sort of entity, you need the Trio of Madness involved as a whole. You know, I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'm hoping that sort of does that because at the end of the day, you'll have an interesting faction. You'll have three women. Obviously, when Buddy Murphy comes back, you got Brody King and then Malachi Black, and then you got Tekla. Could do something. You got the likes of Sky Blue. You got the like. It's just endless possibilities. You play fantasy booker. You know everyone wants to see the Young Bucks versus Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods or Austin Creed in all all in. I'm all for that match if that actually materializes, if them two sign. I just want to say this whilst I will talk about this. When I saw the rumors that Austin Creed, WWE are trying to sign him, but I feel like he will turn it down because he don't want to leave Kofi. You know, he's a good friend of his. And if they're offered a lot better asset, and I feel like I'm going to be honest with you, they could rename. I would name. I've already thought of a name for the tag team. The next day, it works, don't it? As in next chapter, next day, and so on. Tell me your thoughts in the comments. You know, but the thing is, I want to actually say this that I feel like when I look at the way certain people have been released from the likes of WWE, I don't want them falling suit and saying, "Oh, this person should go there, should go there." It's down to AEW, isn't it? If they do sign them, if they want to improve like a women's tag team division, if they want to improve the women's division, some way or form, even though that's stacked. You know, you look at like I was saying about the titles, they just get it so damn right. You know, I'm really intrigued to see where they're gonna go going forward into the next 7 months of AEW. I'm looking forward to August. I can't believe we're in May already, and I'm already buzzed about August. I've been buzzed since basically tickets were booked anyway. Myself, Paddy, Ollie. Ollie's I don't know where Ollie's sitting, but I know me and Paddy is together on that one. Waiting for the news of Pro Wrestling Eve. Hopefully we'll go to that. You know, cannot wait. But just AEW just get it right. They just get it right. They are getting it right, and I'm hoping people start latching on to what AEW has to offer as wrestling fans. But that's my thoughts and opinions anyway, guys. I'm off. Until next time, catch you guys soon.